Winnipeg's world-famous warming huts are under construction tonight. If you ever spilled a cup of hot chocolate or coffee from Tim Hortons, you'll recognize this hut.
13 students from Mennonite Brethren Collegiate Institute are helping put it together. CTV video journalist Dan Timmerman shows you what it takes to get the HUGMUG ready.
It's supposed to look like a hot chocolate mug. It's on the side, so it'll be spilling out. We'll have kind of a mat spilling out. That's our idea. So it just looks like a spilling hot chocolate cup.
It's all actually like very close to what I drew. We all revised the plan, and first the cup was going to be up, but we tilted it on its side so people can actually go and walk inside, and then we also added the benches after, talking about how people can interact with the warming hut.
The fact that kids get involved in real life circumstances and real life consequences and public audiences is something that we talk about a lot at our school. And so this is really cool that a lot of other students can see, you know what, we can build really cool things and we can do things outside just our classrooms and the regular curriculum that we're still covering.
Our warming hut will be out there, but I think when I actually see it, it's going to be like, oh, we actually did this.
Well, hopefully they get it done soon, because you're going to need that warming hut and some hot chocolate.
That's right.
Yeah,
Get it ready, folks.
Great day to build it, though, today in these conditions, but yeah.
Perfectly
We'll
timed.
need it pretty soon.
You bet.
Thanks
Well,
for joining us.
have a good night.
Holding a mug of chocolate, hot chocolate, is one way to warm up. It's also a source of inspiration. Students at Mennonite Brethren Collegiate Institute are creating a giant mug doubling as a warming hut. The HUGMUG is being built on the front lawn of the Elmwood School. And once it's finished, skaters will be able to sit inside the mug to take a break and get out of the elements.
It's like a dream come true. How else can I say it? We've never done something on this scale. So I know even this morning when we came out and we saw all the pieces on the truck out here, we kind of look at each other like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. We're actually building one of these.
The Forks expects the HUGMUG and other warming huts to be on the river by the end of the month. Sunday's warm-up drew roughly 28,000 people to the river trail. It's going to be cooler this weekend, Mike, so you're going to want those warming huts sooner rather than later. But wow, what a turnout.
That one's really going to block the wind, too. Ideal for when it's actually really windy out there as well. But who knows, with all the cold weather that we have, maybe they're going to extend it soon.
I also don't think the cold really prevents people from getting on that. They love it so
Certainly
much.
not. No, it's actually a fun commuting tool as well.
Yeah, a lot of people get out there, no matter the temperature, which is amazing. Have a great night, everyone.
Yeah, world's smallest cup of coffee.
Exactly.
So cute.
All right, let's head over to the warming huts down at the Forks. That's where Ryan Harding is this morning. How you doing? Are you staying warm in there?
You know, that might have been the world's smallest coffee. I think right now I am in the world's biggest cup of coffee. And yes,
cool.
Staying warm. Very cool. I saw the headline last night. Watching me down at the Forks outside. I thought, uh-oh. I saw the second line warming huts. I knew everything was going to be just fine. You will see lots of these around the Red River Mutual Trail over the weekend and this morning as well. I'm also going to talk to some of the architectures. One coming all the way from Mexico. So I'm hoping when I step inside that one, they've brought a little bit of Mexico with them and it's a beach or something. That might be hopeful thinking, but we will get all the scoop and all the information on these lovely, very cool warming huts this weekend.
All right, make sure to bring that to the studio because we certainly need that much coffee in the morning. All right, thanks, Ryan. We'll see you in a bit.
Back over to the Forks. That's where Ryan is. So many different warming huts are there this year, and the architecture is absolutely incredible.
It really is. Each design is unique and keeps you warm, most importantly. I'm here now with some of those folk who designed what's behind me here. Entitled Trunk, correct? Is that Trunk? I'm joined by Ryder and Camille. They come from Calgary, Toronto, but are based out of Vancouver. Welcome to Winnipeg, first and foremost. Tell me a little bit about the process of putting your design in and getting selected for this.
So Camille and I were we submitted to this international design competition, and the design took about 2 to 3 days to do, and we submitted renders and drawings, and then we won. And there was about 200 applicants, and there was 3 chosen.
Very cool. Congratulations, first of all. I'll get you to step to the side so we can show it off a little bit. And Camille, tell me a little bit about the design and the inspiration behind it.
So we were pretty inspired by the the warming huts competition that they build all the huts out on the frozen river every winter. So just thinking about how else we can show the passing of time. So the idea is inside there's growth rings, so it's like you're in the middle of a tree trunk.
Right. What were some important aspects that you felt you needed to add for this?
The most important part was using wood as a primary building material, just to show the history and the technology of the wood industry here in Canada.
How cool is it to actually see your design, I guess not in the flesh, in the wood?
Yeah, it was awesome. We arrived on Wednesday, and that was the first time we had seen it in person since we sent the drawings a couple months ago.
Well, again, guys, congratulations. You guys are fresh out of school, I hear, so how much of an honor is it to have your guys, I guess, your work recognized in such a well-known competition?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing, and a couple of the guys around here have been saying that it's a good feather to have in the hat, so...
No kidding.
That's good.
All right, well, thank you guys for waking up so early and coming all the way to Winnipeg. I hope you enjoy your time here. Coming up, we're going to hear from more of the architects, two more, including one individual from Estonia and another all the way from Mexico, and we'll see their designs as well.
All right, I see a little bit of snowflakes out there, Ryan. How does it feel?
You know what? It feels okay, but I am going to go hang out in the trunk right now, if that's okay.
Or in the warming hut. All right. Thank you. All right, well, let's go to the roof first.
All right, let's head back over to the warming huts at the Forks. That's where Ryan Harding is. We saw one, and I mean, the architecture with these are phenomenal. You got to go check them out.
I'm having a really great time looking at past winners, looking at this year's winners. This one here behind me kind of reminds me of an iceberg. I don't know if anyone else gets that feeling, but what I'm really enjoying is actually talking to the architects themselves after seeing their work and really getting the inspiration and the story behind a bit of a deeper meaning to what I'm actually looking at. Actually, a quick story. Talk about how small a world this is. Those two that I interviewed a little earlier on from Vancouver, I'm from Newfoundland. They're actually really good friends with my college roommate in Toronto. So the Forks just bringing people together. Meet me at the Forks, and actually we're going to bring the world a little closer together coming up because we have an architect from Estonia and another from Mexico, and they're going to show me their work on the river itself. So we're going to get in there, huddle together, and hopefully stay warm in those warming huts.
All right, thanks for that, Ryan. Looking forward to seeing more. All right, Ryan is now joining us from the Forks, where we're talking about warming huts, and you have Guy Madden right now, who is, of course, a well-known Winnipeg filmmaker.
I'm joined now by Guy, and I'm very excited for what he's going to show us. We say warming hut. It's getting a little bit chilly out here, so eventually we are going to make our way inside. But this one really interests me. I'm going to ask you about it, where the inspiration came from. First of all, just for those who don't know, you're a local filmmaker. You've been invited here by the competition. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what's behind us.
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I make a living sort of making movies and teaching about it at Harvard, and but they invited me back. This organization, it's wonderful. I love this event. I love walking on the river. It makes you love Winnipeg in the winter, and that's something a lot of people find inconceivable. Because I'm not an architect, I felt more comfortable working in collaboration with those architects that invited me, because once you start talking to architects, you realize how sophisticated it gets. Just the scope of consideration that has to go into the location of a project, its elements, what it might remind people of, what it might inadvertently hurt people with. Yeah.
You mentioned the elements. Let's walk through that a little bit, because everything used here is just that, elements of the river.
Yeah, practically. It's made up out of big ice blocks. And now this Winnipeg means muddy waters, and in the summer the rivers here look like cafe au laits. But in the winter, all the silt settles out, and they're crystal clear. If you run a little bit of warm water, even the palm of your hand over them, you can read a paper through these big blocks, and they look blue in the sunlight. And then there's the overarching structures are dead wood found washed up on the banks, and so they've been plucked from there. So the blocks of ice sawn out of the river, the dead wood from its banks, and then there's a kind of a ghost, a shroud connected to these blocks that will get pulled down in the spring when this whole thing just starts melting. And I guess it's just about ephemerality.
Yeah, so basically everything you see here will eventually melt and make its way back into the river, so make sure you come down and see it before that happens, because it is absolutely stunningly beautiful and a really cool piece added to the river here with so much to see down at the Forks.
Very cool, absolutely. All right, thanks for that, Ryan. We appreciate it. Well, if you're ever down to just...
All right, joining Ryan, you're on the river right now talking about warming huts, and we've seen some really cool ones so far. What else you got?
We have got another cool one. It's actually a two-piece, if you will, called Totem. And I'm joined by three lovely individuals all the way from Estonia. I'll get you to introduce yourself first.
Hey, I'm Nela. I'm Sane. I'm Mari.
And they are all architects, as I mentioned, from Estonia. This two-piece called Totem, tell me a little bit about it and the inspiration behind it.
Maybe Sane can talk a bit more about it.
Sure, I can do that. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind it.
So the idea is that they are like two individual towers, like the totems, and each of them individually is about this, like, yourself, you, like only you climbing because it's narrow and tall. But then when it becomes two, like when like each of the person is in like top of each of them, then it becomes something more like more collective and something like shared, and some dialogue then raises.
We can see at the very top there, that's kind of how it unfolds. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this competition.
It was like quite interesting because 4 years ago we already like took part, but not so successful. So we like somehow forgot about this competition, and then like this year found out again and thought, oh, like there was this like cool chance, and we also have kind of like very cold climate, like I would say. In sometimes it can get like quite cold, so all this like polar theme was like an inspiration, and we thought like, okay, we need to participate. Like,
well, we know cold here in Winnipeg. First time in Canada for the three?
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome to Winnipeg. Welcome to Canada. Thank you so much for showing me this. And how was it up there? How was the view?
Oh, it was fantastic, because everything here is quite flat, so you can come up there and really have a nice view and have this your personal experience climbing through it. It's very nice.
From that height, you can probably see Saskatoon, so you're going to want to come down, check it out, and climb up the totem and have a friend on the other side as well. You guys can have a conversation back and forth. It's really neat, and just one of the many, many warming huts to check out down on the river here, so come down and check it out.
The warming huts where Ryan's at right now.
Hey, thanks, guys. This one's a little bit different. When you look at it, it doesn't look like a stereotypical warming hut. We'll get more on that and the actual hut part of it in a second. First, I'll introduce you to its creator, David, from Mexico, all the way from the west coast of Mexico. Thanks so much for joining us. First time in Canada. How did you get involved in this competition?
First of all, I've been passionate about design all my life. And when I found this competition online, I instantaneously thought about making an icon from the city of Winnipeg, and specifically for the region of the Forks with the rivers, frozen rivers. And I thought of a bison of Manitoba, like the symbol of the city. And I wanted to be gold, in reference to the golden boy at the top of the legislative.
Everyone loves the golden boy, absolutely. So as I mentioned, you look at it and it doesn't look like every other hut in the sense that there's, right off the bat, it doesn't look like there's a place to get inside and sit. Not the case. Tell me a little bit about the design.
Yes, I wanted to be an imposing presence, and what better to do that with a bison. But when you approach it, you find out that it's not intimidating at all. It's there to protect you, to warm you up, to give you strength to continue in your endeavors for the day in the freezing cold.
And you just climb up inside and maneuver your way, and there's quite a bit of room in there, actually. So how exciting is it for you now to have the designs done, know that you're coming to Winnipeg and actually see it here?
No, I'm super excited. I'm very proud of it. It's my big baby. And I'm really excited to be here, to finally be able to touch it and to climb up inside and to warm there.
Finally, tell me a little bit about the actual look of it. It's almost like pixelated. What goes behind that?
I wanted to be as tectonic as possible, so the cube being the basic geometric shape. I wanted to give that impression like it's built of blocks, and that's the result.
All right, the result is absolutely stunning. Thanks so much for coming all the way from Mexico up here to Winnipeg. Hopefully you can stay warm inside your own warm hut here today. Thank you.
Very cool. All right, thanks for that, Ryan. We appreciate it. Let's head back over to the Forks, and that's where Ryan Harding is. You've been giving us a sneak peek at some of the warming huts. What do you have for us now?
Thanks, Raheem. I'm back inside what we dubbed the world's biggest coffee mug. That's an unofficial title. It's actually titled the HUGMUG, and there's a hashtag on that, and it's put together by some students of MBCI. I'm joined now by their art teacher, Merlin. Tell me a little, we'll talk to the students in a second, but tell me a little bit about how this project came about and brought the class together.
Well, we were introduced to an invitation to make a hug mug, or not a mug, but basically a warming hut by Peter Hargreaves, Sputnik Architecture, and we said, okay, how do we do this? And so we started with ideas. We had tons of art kids in my school come together, make all sorts of their own designs. We went to the grade 11s. They made their own designs, and we just hashed over all this stuff, did a lot of critiques, revision, and basically started off with a very simple drawing of a mug, and then we started developing that idea in terms of, okay, what if we tipped it over, and what if there was something spilling out of it, and we could have marshmallows. And so it was very exciting to see the development of a very simple idea, a very quick drawing that became a blueprint, which became our idea, which we got a whole bunch of people helping us out in terms of design and materials, and here we are, very first day of seeing it all put together.
And it looks beautiful. Joining me now, Maddie and Athena. Some of those grade 11 students helped to build it as well. Maddie, you are actually the marshmallow expert, I'm told. Tell me a little bit about what we see here, the places to sit down.
Well, the marshmallows are definitely an interesting thing to even think of how to build. They're basically just a wooden structure with 2 discs and a bunch of little pillars going around covered in foam and then fabric. It is actually quite simple once we thought of it.
Simplicity is the best sometimes, and it matches your jacket. I like it. Athena, tell me a little bit about what it means to now see this after all the hard work to see it here at the Forks.
Well, it's amazing to see it actually, here at the Forks, because I never thought that we could go from a simple sketch to having a big structure that people can actually interact with. So it's really cool to see how our work has paid off.
And what did you learn through all this?
Well, I learned how to screw things into wood, which is a first.
That helps.
I learned a lot about teamwork as well, since this entire thing was a team effort, and our entire class had to collaborate a lot together in order to get it built.
All right, so you're going to want to come down and check it out. Use the hashtag HUGMUG and post it all over social media and really support some local students doing a great thing, because, guys, it looks fantastic.
If you've ever skated on the Red River Mutual Trail, you have seen the very unique warming huts along the way. Well, today the most recent collection of newly designed warming huts was unveiled. The open competition received almost 200 submissions from all over the world. It's supported by the Manitoba Association of Architects and the Canada Council for the Arts. This year, there's even a bison that looks like it's made from Lego. There are lots of new designs to check out as you skate or walk down the river trail. Many have a distinct Manitoba or prairie theme. And this year's guest artist, Guy Madden, has a special spot under the Norwood Bridge. Luca Roncoroni, an ice sculptor and architect from Norway, helped Madden bring it to life.
My name is Luca Roncoroni. I'm helping Guy Madden build Guy's hut. He's a guest artist for this year warming hats, and we're working here under the bridge building his Temple of Lost Things, which is an installation that is mostly composed by materials that are like already present on the river. So we're using driftwood and ice blocks harvested from the Red River.
This Temple of Lost Things is about the ephemerality of the world in which we all live, our own ephemerality. And come spring, the ice will melt, the ice we're standing on will melt, the ice the thing's made of will melt, the wood will float down the river and end up on the banks of the river once again, where we got them. This netting, which is kind of a specter-like, a ghost-like thing, will just get tangled up and just be carried away.
I've seen pictures in summertime of the Red River that is kind of muddy and brown. So it's one of the nice things here is to see how Winnipeggers, how surprised they are that 1 ton of ice from the river can be so clear that you can basically read a newspaper through the block.
If you put your iPhone 10 in there, you'll get an iPhone 12. I really love this event because there's these added human-made elements that are just striking. They're just curious. I'm sure a lot of people will be dismissive of them. Others will be very curious, wonder what, or that's not much or whatever. But this one, it's big, and it looks nice.
Really cool. And if you are on the river trail this weekend, you'll likely need to use those warming huts.
Art installations were unveiled at the Forks today. The winners of the annual warming hut competition were finally able to showcase their work to the public. There were international designers this year, came from Estonia and Mexico. There were also some local huts. One was designed by Winnipeg High School students at MBCI with their HUGMUG, and filmmaker Guy Madden with his creation, The Temple of Lost Things.
This ice and driftwood that was collected from the banks, as the ice melts, come spring, the whole thing will melt, the whole thing will just get collapsed into the river. That shroud fabric above it will be drawn down for a little moment of a funereal moment to acknowledge the loss of this memory, and then the whole thing will just be swept away.
The warming huts will start to be installed on the river trail next week.
Mark Neufeld broadcasting from the Forks tonight, where after a record number of submissions, nearly 180 from local, national, and international artists and architectural groups, the Forks is ready to display and show off the winning huts from Warming Huts version 2018, which is also called the Art and Architecture Competition on Ice. The 3 winning huts were chosen by a blind jury. This year's winners come from Vancouver, Estonia, and Mexico. In no particular order, winning installations were the Golden Bison. It utilizes key pieces in the symbolic identity of Manitoba. The bison, our official provincial animal, stands proud and strong, wrapped in gold as a nod to our golden boy and city's eternal youth. Together they form a massive bison that people can actually climb up inside, with room to hold 7 adults at a time and even more kids. Another winner, Totem. It's a nod to every individual's journey in life. The 2 towers seem to grow up out of the riverbed, inviting participants to climb inside the structures. The towers are meant to act as a point of recognition for opportunity on the horizon or left behind in one's life. The 3rd winner was the Trunk. Now, the trunk is actually an inhabitable tree. It's constructed of layers of laminated wood, each cut in the shape of a single growth ring. By layering the rings, a record of change and time are revealed vertically, seemingly growing infinitely towards the sky. Now, this is the 8th year that the competition has been going on. All of the structures that you can see here are going to go down to the Red River Mutual Trail, so I would encourage you to get out and take a look at them while you can. Some of the art installations that we couldn't show you are actually made out of ice, so I'd encourage you to get down now before they go like all the snow in the city and melt into the river and on in their artistic journey to infinity. In Winnipeg, Mark Neufeld, City News. Mark Neufeld broadcasting from the Forks after a record number of submissions, nearly 180 from local, national, and international artists and architectural groups. The Forks is ready to finally unveil their winning warming huts from the Warming Hut Volume 2018 Arts and Architecture Competition on the ice. Take a look.
This morning, we're standing on Treaty 1 land at the forks of 2 rivers, the Assiniboine and Red. But we're also at the fork of the arts and imagination.
Only in Winnipeg can you warm up inside the belly of a handcrafted golden bison or take a break inside a giant mug. As you know, these are just 2 of the many warming huts along the Red River Mutual Trail.
It's interesting to watch architecture students work with some of the world's best architects and watch the collaboration that goes on.
Today is the day that they're finally built. They're unveiled. You can see them, you can explore them, you can climb in them, and then they're going to make their way down to the Red River Mutual Trail for you to actually use and explore on the ice.
The 3 winning huts were chosen by a blind jury. This year's winners come from Vancouver, Estonia, and Mexico. In no particular order, winning installations were the Golden Bison. It utilizes key pieces in the symbolic identity of Manitoba. The bison is our official provincial animal. It stands proud and strong, wrapped in gold as a nod to our golden boy and the city's eternal youth. Together, they form a massive bison that people can actually climb up inside with room to hold 7 adults at a time and even more kids. Another winner this year was Totem. It's a nod to every individual's journey in life. The 2 towers that you see seem to grow up out of the riverbed, inviting participants to climb inside the structure all the way to the top. The towers are meant to act as a point of recognition for opportunity on the horizon or opportunities left behind in one's life. And the 3rd winner this year was the Trunk. The trunk is an inhabitable tree. It's actually constructed of layers of laminated wood, each cut in the shape of a single growth ring. Those are then layered over top of each other, and the rings form a record of change and time, and it's revealed vertically, seemingly to grow infinitely into the sky. Now, this is the 8th year that the warming hut installation has been here at the Forks, and I would encourage everybody to get down to the Red River Mutual Fund Trail if you can to see this stuff. There's a great opportunity to actually interact with it and get inside of it. Some of the installations that we couldn't show you, they're actually made out of ice, so I would encourage you to get out before it gets warm, because in the same way that all the snow in Winnipeg is going to melt and disappear, those installations will as well. In Winnipeg, Mark Neufeld, City News.
Being Canadian for me means a sense of community, a sense of togetherness, everyone kind of working together towards one goal.